Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Vihil Vigil, your International Women's Empowerment Business and Professional Development Coach. And we are jumping back into the International Women in Business Mastermind programs and conversations with phenomenal global women in regards to up-leveling all things business knowledge. Today we have a systems expert with us, which I will get into introducing her in just a quick second. I want to thank all of you for your expressing your interest in a speaker opportunity with the International Women in Business program. I will post below at the conclusion of our event information on our YouTube channel. So it's Empowerment Empire's new YouTube channel that we've been building over the course of the year, where we get to upload all of these awesome conversations and interviews with phenomenal women to talk about their businesses, how you can up-level your business as well as your own self as a business professional. So I'm really excited to get back into the swing of things. And I want to start by introducing our special guest for today. Christelle Fernandez is a systems and operations systems and operations strategist. It is still early in the morning. Working with women service providers to unlock their profitability and transformation by developing premium systems to push through stagnation in their growth, something we definitely all experience. Through documentation, streamlining, and automation, she creates sustainability for your business, allowing you to serve those high-ticket clients and work on what you love the most. For some of us entrepreneurs, we love to dig deep into setting up those foundational documents. For some of us entrepreneurs, we do not. So do what you love. Don't do all the things that has to do with your business. So her method, Christelle's method, is very unique in its methodology journey as she leads her clients from strategy to structure, to scalability, to sustainability, to saleability. As tech agnostic, she makes sure that you don't end up with platforms and tools that don't work for you or for how you do business, or an incomplete process map. She wants to make sure that you have this fully developed process map designed and at your fingertips so you can really make the most of all of the time that you spend on and within your business. So in short, Christelle takes care of your system so you have more time to take care of your clients and, of course, most importantly, yourself. Thank you so very much for joining me this morning. Please give us a warm welcome to Christelle Fernandez, Business Systems Strategist. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. And the primary topic for our conversation today in the International Women in Business Mastermind, as we are about to enter October, we are about to enter not only Q4, so the fourth quarter of the year, but it's also the last quarter of the year. So we're not only planning for what we're going to be accomplishing in Q4, we're also thinking about how we're closing out our year and how we plan to start off not only the start of next quarter, but the start of a new year. So it's a unique opportunity to really take a look at what you've got going on in your business, what you've got going on in your own personal and professional life, and really set down those plans for action that are going to take you further, especially because we're all about to get derailed by all the holidays coming up. So it's important that you start this planning now. I love to make sure that we always do it in September so that we're able to know exactly what our roadmap looks like so that when all of the holidays of the winter season come down upon us and we get a little derailed and we get caught up and we get to, socialize and have, great times and great parties and great gatherings with those amazing people in our lives. Once those events conclude, we have our roadmap that we can just jump right back on and continue moving forward. So Christelle, what are your thoughts when you are working not only with your clients, but what do you do for yourself as well as you are entering in Q4 to close up the quarter, close up the year, and get ready for the following year?
Well, first of all, when people hear, when we hear Q4, a lot of us start to panic a little bit. The year's ending, it's coming to a close super fast. And then, and then the end is always like, it just the end of the year always goes by so fast because of those holidays, like you were mentioning, right? And if the year went by fast, then Q4 is like, it feels even worse, right? So everybody just take deep breath, because I need to do that too when I get to this part of the year, right?
Exactly.
So when you're doing goals on a quarterly basis, and then of course, like you mentioned, then there's the annual goals that you should be thinking about already as of Q3, throughout Q4, little by little, or throughout even the year, and just making your notes as what you're going to want to do in the following year, correct? But when we think about doing goals and going through the year, you always go through and want to like check off, okay, so did I meet this one? Did I meet this one? Where am I with this, right? So you're thinking of more project-based. And what people forget, and don't even like to think about because they just kind of feel a little scared by them, is to think about your systems and reviewing your systems on a quarterly basis. So at the very, very least, you need to be doing this annually when you're thinking about next year. The next would be twice a year, but I honestly feel like you should be doing this quarterly with your quarterly goals. Because if you have, let's say you're launching something next quarter, you're planning to launch it, are your systems, are your platforms, are your tools in place to be able to handle that, right? Or do you have to implement, sign up for a new resource? Or is that resource, human capital? Do you need to hire somebody to help you with that specific launch, right? Whether it's a VA, whether it's a launch expert, whatever it may be that you're needing. And people really forget about the overall systems. The first thing that I start with when I do my audits, and okay, so it's a systems audit. Let me go back, so people don't like the word audit because they think of the IRS. So you can think of it as an assessment. Okay, so when you do your assessments, when you're doing your quarterly goals, then I always start with a time assessment. Okay, and I actually I have one of my workbooks is Make Your Calendar Work for You, and it's also part of my systems assessment, because you want to take a look at first how you're spending your time. How did I spend my time? How am I spending it now? And then when you do it again, like I said, quarterly, then you're going to see, okay, where do I still need to fix, right? So it's continuous. This time study, if you will, should be at minimum 2 weeks, preferably 3 weeks, but I know it's really hard to kind of be doing that because it's a little tedious, so I get it. But no week is the same for us, right? As business owners, as entrepreneurs, things are just constantly changing. So that's why I say like 3 weeks would be optimal, but let's just do at least the 2 weeks. And it's basically from whenever you get up, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whenever, until you go to sleep. And you're going to fill in every 30 minutes. Okay, really quick, just jot down. I did this, I did this, I did this. Whether it's work related, whether it's personal with your family, with your kids, whether it's self-care, whether you're vegging and you're watching TV, who cares? And I'm going to be honest, I probably have actually watching more TV than others because I have health issues, right? And so I actually take that into consideration with my structure for my business. Right. And so when I have bad days, I'm just vegging, I'm just watching TV, I'm Netflixing all day.
There
right?
is so much to be said for self-care. If you are not providing adequate self-care for yourself, whether that is resting, on the couch and Netflixing and chilling, is part of your self-care, you need to create something. So it will definitely vary for all of us. However, it's so important that we recognize that we respect that for ourselves, that we do take that time to make sure that we enter it into our calendars, we enter it into our schedule of the day, that we need this self-care time multiple times a day, sometimes several times a week. Yeah. I like that you said that.
And sometimes we have crappy weeks, whether it's health or life just happens, right? And so that's why I'm saying we never have 2 weeks that are exactly the same, which is why I say third week. So 1 week is really crappy. If you do another 2 weeks in your audit so that you can see how you're actually flowing back into things, it builds you get this huge view of how you're really spending your time. And so that's the first thing I do. Then there's we're going to go into tasks, because out of that time audit, you're going to be listing all the tasks that you've been doing. So I have this other thing. I'm going to read some of the comments because I actually did this for a friend of mine, and then I just started using it as my methodology. And so I did this basically a spreadsheet where I wanted her to list out all her tasks of what she was doing. So you can just kind of grab these from your time audit, right? And then I created these columns, and I'm going to read them out to you because they're very much my personality.
Okay.
Where I wanted her to go back later and just check off a column. Love this, too easy, too much time. I dislike or hate doing this, repetitive, boring as hell, mundane. This is dumb. Why am I even doing this? I don't know how to do this and don't want to figure out how to do it. Is this easy? Is this so? I can train somebody, or no, this is my expertise. And then the last one is who are you going to assign? So if you have a team already, decide who you're going to assign, right? And this comes into play. So you get it from your time, list it here, kind of go through that. And you can also realize the other thing that I have actually, I forgot to mention is I also have a chart where you're realizing now that you've seen all the tasks that you've done, are you doing, is this like a $10 an hour thing? So this is like low, low pay task, or like, and that's why I also have like the spreadsheet, right, for the audit, for the assessment. Or is this something that can potentially be revenue generating task of 4 figures or 5 figures, right? And so then I also have a list of different examples of what should be where. And so it lets you decide. Part of the continuing with the assessment, what happens then is we go through, what tools are you using, what platforms, what's your team like, who's doing what. Okay, in this project, your steps are 1, 2, 3, 4, ABC, whatever it may be, whatever your processes are to get through your day-to-day operations. And we take a look at that. One of the most important ones, and I'm actually going to be doing an intensive on this, is your client journey, because from converting to onboarding to deliverables to offboarding, getting those referrals and those testimonials, you want to provide, and this is why it's going to actually be called this, your it's a client journey intensive for a platinum client experience, because you want to give that ultra level experience, right? So that's definitely one of the processes that I go through from beginning to end. And so when we're doing these, and we have our little task spreadsheet, but I have something else as well. And then we're going to decide what I'm going to keep this. Nope, I need to implement this. There's a hole in my process right now. I need to implement this. Or this is really outdated. I need to update it because we're not even doing it this way anymore. Or we need to automate it. Or do I need to delegate it? Or this is just redundant, or we just need to delete this completely. So you kind of go through everything a little further. And yes, I always say this, getting your ops and your admin in order, it does take time. It does take effort. There is a specific mindset that you need to know that I need to do this because I'm ready to up level. I've been on a great growth curve, and now I'm ready to scale. And there's a difference between growing and scaling. Scaling is when you're ready to double, triple your revenue because you're there and that growth rate has been on a high curve, right?
Consistent, yeah.
And so you need to come with that open mindset of, it's going to take my time. My system strategist is going to need my input, right? Because there's only so much I can do. This is your business. It's not my business. And I want, and I'm the mindset of envisioning what you actually want, right? So doing this on a quarterly basis, taking a week and that maybe that month before next quarter starts, so that you can really finalize. And actually I would do it like, so for Q4, I would have done it the first week of September, right? So for 2024, let's do end of November, beginning of December, so that you can then have 2-3 weeks to finalize goals for next quarter, or 2 or 3 weeks to finalize goals for next year. So that is the process that I take into the goal setting that a lot of people, like I said, either don't even think about, or they just forget it because they don't want to deal with it, right? It's one of those things you just throw to the back burner. It's like, this is way too much, it's too tedious, like what the hell is she talking about? But it's so important. And that's why you find somebody who's actually geeks out on systems like myself to help you go through it. Some hand holding is needed throughout this. And I totally get it. And really quickly, people think of systems as tech or a platform, like for some kind of app or software. And a system is not that. And my husband here, who works in the other room, hears this all the time. His putting away the dishes got on my nerves. So he's like, you need to teach me your system of how you put the dishes away in the kitchen. Everything you do is actually a system. The way that you run your household, the way you organize your linen closet, your routine of getting the kids out the door to school, everything's a system, and you do them all the time. They're in your life constantly, right? So it's nothing to be scary. It's just the word that it makes people feel standoffish. It's like, yeah, I'm not taking that off. But I just wanted to explain that really quick because I know how people feel about it.
Yeah, I like that. I wrote down technical and non-technical systems because you're right. And I'm really glad that you mentioned that we have a system to the way in which that we do everything. I like that you talked about putting the dishes away, because I know when I load the dishwasher and I put the dishes away, there is a system that I do it. And it's because over the course of my experience of doing this process, I have found something that is the most efficient for me. So that's why I do it the way that I do it, because in my eyes, it's the most efficient. I like that you really reiterate that, because we don't want people to stray away because they think systems have to be tech. But it's just the way in which that you do everything, and the way in which that you refine the things that you do. And towards the course of the year, our goal is to start off the next year stronger. So why not take this opportunity to review the system in which that you utilize to do all the things, whether it's technologically based or whether it's not, whether it's all in your head or it's in your notebook or it's, developed through the habits that you have formed over the course of your life, hence unloading the dishwasher or loading the dishwasher is, I think what the
and I'm actually one of those people. I think I did a post of this a while ago where it mentioned, I can't even remember the word. Are you like one of those people that's OCD, like you just stuff them in there or whatever, or are you one of those people that has to be like organized? I'm the one with the OCD that organizes. So if somebody else loads it, I take everything out and I put it the right way, my way. But another part of life that's relatable to systems is I understand the foundation of a business. I've helped a lot of micro businesses and small businesses grow and scale. So from admin, ops, marketing, sales, the entire process, right? I understand it well. So I know what's needed for foundational systems for you to build upon. So a while ago, just because I couldn't get it the way my brain thinks, I have an ND brain. And so sometimes it takes a minute, but my husband used to, one part of the conversation would be like, the foundation of our marriage, right? The foundation of our relationship. And I didn't get it until finally I realized, like, I do system foundations, business foundations all the time. Like, oh, okay. So, right. So they're everywhere. And we just don't think of it that way.
Yeah. I love it. I recently had a conversation. So I have a standing meetings with my full-time coaching clients. And on the last meeting, what was it? Last week and the week prior, when I met with a couple of different clients, I took them through the end of the year journey, and it focuses. And I love how you broke down this process of like the time audit, your task list, the client journey review, looking at your operations and your administration, and then really envisioning what you want for your future. I love that you have reiterated that as well, because there are so many of us who are very sort of operations, efficiency, driven types of thinkers, that when I take my clients back through their week, and we meet weekly. And so when we meet on the next call, my questions typically begin with, okay, let's go back with our task list and your jobs that you were going to be taking care of over the last week. And let's see, what did you get done? In my brain, everything should be done. But when I have that conversation with my client, oftentimes I'll get, well, I didn't get to this, I didn't get to that. And then when I ask why, sometimes they don't know. So to do that time audit is so crucial because it reminds you, what are you actually doing with yourself? And I think there is no better time to do this than quarterly, so that one, you could say, okay, I'm kind of getting a little lackadaisical on, making sure this thing is being done because I've been, all caught up in a new Netflix series. Or my daughter recently started volleyball. And so now, 2 nights out of the week, I am at volleyball practice and volleyball game, and I have to drive there. So it's like this 3 to 4 hour round trip experience, that basically just kind of started and is not something that I had planned for in January of, this year. So as our lives change and adapt and grow, what do we spend our time on? So I definitely want to echo that, where, if you're trying to do an assessment of how you have succeeded over the course of this last quarter, over the course of the year thus far, so that your end of the year quarter is as strong as possible and that you start the following year as strong as possible, first figure out, what are you doing on a consistent daily basis? And then once you figure it out, and I like how you said, do the 3-week audit, because you're right. Sometimes that first week might just be like out the window, but the second and the third week will give you more of a sense of what you are consistently doing. So you get to take a nice average of, okay, what do my Mondays look like?
Exactly.
Yeah, I really like how you brought that in. And then once you realize what you're doing, then you could realize, what measures do I need to put into place so I'm doing what I want to be doing. So I'm doing what I planned to be doing. And then with your task plus, I love that you created these columns to where you could go through. I love them. They are totally on your personality too.
They are.
I love it because then you could really identify, of all of the things that I'm doing, are these things that I should be doing? Are these the things that I like to do? What can I outsource? What can I offload? What can I, systematize in a better way so that I'm not wasting my valuable time, because this many hours is equal to this much money. And when you just continuously break it down like that, then it really defines a very clear picture to say, okay, if you are performing or not performing these certain number of activities, it's costing you this much money. So I think it's a great way to look at it. And I like the way that you have basically brought this proof that says, do you want to waste $5,000 by doing what you're currently doing, or do you want to make $5,000 by changing what you're currently doing over the course of your Monday through Friday, when you're operating? One of the other things that I talk to clients about is you have to look at all those foundational activities. Like you said, the technical and the non-technical systems, make sure that they're actually still working for you, because our business plan, our marketing plan, our strategic growth plan, which are some of the areas that I work on with clients that I work with, it changes. It changes from January to June to December. And let's make sure that we realize these are living documents that need to be revisited, not just kind of a one and done and put it on the shelf. I like how we echo one another, because it's not just that we have very similar personalities, but it's also that we have a number of years of experience in helping individuals grow their organizations. It's what allows us to be experts in our industry and to share this information so readily and so freely. Another reason why I'm glad that you agreed to be on the International Women in Business Mastermind, because I knew that you would have these insights that you could share with our audience on, not just because you think they're good ideas, but because you have the burden of proof that have shown you are able to help people become more successful when they do these things.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a huge difference. I've been doing this. I've had my quote unquote online business for 10 years when my little was born, but I was doing this way before. And so I brought all of that with me, and we forget what our expertise is sometimes. I'm like, oh no, I really know how to do this. I can help you. And so you just have to get that out there and get the right message out to people. I wanted to touch on something that you mentioned because it's so very true, which is why we're supposed to be doing our quarterly reviews, right? Like you mentioned, so last December, neither you or you didn't know that your daughter was going to be doing volleyball. My daughter was doing soccer, but I didn't know that she was going to be into competitive soccer. And so now there's practice 3 times a week in the evenings, right? And then we have four games this weekend, right? So she has a tournament, so we have 4 games. So I used to be able to work a little bit on the weekends or the evenings. That's kind of out the door, and so you have to kind of like restructure. And I just want people to know, like, don't feel guilty about how you end up spending your time when you don't somebody else is doing, because I read something somewhere where let's find some precious time that you're wasting type of thing. If you're at your kids' practice, you should be doing XYZ and using that time to be productive. No, because I'm an online business, I work from home every single day. That's my social time. I get to talk to the other soccer moms, right? That's important to me too, to talk to other adults. So no, I'm not going to be doing work. I have taken my planner once, but that was like, I didn't even do anything with it. So it's like, I'm never doing that again, because I like talking to the other moms or the dads, the parents. A lot of us get together, we become friends. So no, that's my social time. So don't feel guilty because you're doing things differently than somebody else. This is your life. This is your business. And so just do the time audit but figure out on the business side of things where you could be doing a little bit more or a little bit different. There are some people that I know that have wanted to give up TV completely for a month or for 6 months, and they committed to it because they realized it was taking up too much time and they wanted to use it, but they don't have kids, or they were able to structure their schedule differently so that they were able to do more during that time. But that's them. That's obviously not going to be me. So, right. So, you do you, whatever's best for you. So I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there when it came to that. And, you're going to have to, if your kids get into sports or something else happens in life, or what you planned at the beginning of the year is not going to happen now, then you just need to just rewrite it in a different way, rewrite the story, rewrite what your vision is going to be for the rest of the year, or for maybe you have to just move that goal to the following year, and then you have more time to plan it out correctly. Don't rush on it.
On the topic of being present at your children's events, I think that is one of the most precious things that we get to experience as moms, as aunties, as sisters, as women who lead very busy lives. When we are there for our children or for our littles in our lives, it means so much to them. It's such a precious opportunity for you to be there. And we had a game last night, and whether the team is doing great, whether the team is doing not so great, my daughter knows if I'm paying attention or not. And the only
did you see me do this? Did you see me do that? Oh, did you see me at practice? Oh, how did I look?
Yeah, the only time I pull up my phone is if I'm recording her or if I'm taking her picture. And it's just, you feel so much more connected. You really utilize that time to build that beautiful connection when you are present. So as to not be sitting in the stands, doing emails on my phone or sending messages and connecting and whatnot. And there's nothing that's going to be so pressing that you have to put off being present, in those sorts of moments, for your child's game, for example, or for, cheering on with the parent sitting next to you. I think that we need to remember that when those opportunities come into play, that we really take advantage of them, because we do work so hard, whether it's at 11 o'clock at night or, at 7 a.m. in the morning or on Sunday afternoon when we didn't plan on working. When we do have those opportunities to, kind of step away from our schedule and be present in the lives of our loved ones, it's so crucial that we really take advantage of that. And just put the work aside and really be present. If it changes our planned schedule, then so be it. I like how you reiterated the fact that, don't beat yourself up for being, offline when, you've got something that is happening that's going to be bringing warmth and love and connection and relationship strengthening opportunities into your life. Like, if you need to change your schedule, then change your schedule so that you can be present for those very special opportunities. There's a couple of folks I've noticed that at every practice and every game, they're on their laptop or they're on their phone pretty much the whole time. And they're just not present. And I could see their kids like looking over at their person that is in the stands and realizing they're not paying attention to them.
Yeah. And you're developing that little person. It impacts how you're developing the little person. It impacts how you're developing your relationship with them. So, but I'm not trying to tell parents what to do. My husband's a little more, my husband has a 9 to 5, but he also has a side hustle that's been scaling quite a bit. So he takes every minute that he can. And so sometimes he is on laptop, but then he's also very present and social as well. So just take those moments, like take them into consideration. Like, how pressing is this? Do I really need to do this now? Is it an impact? All right, let me dedicate 10-15 minutes, but then be there, in whatever you're doing. It doesn't have to be related to your kid, whatever you're in, just be present, right? We have to remember to appreciate the moments that we're in, so that we can then have a better, so that we can then head in a better way towards our what we're envisioning for our future.
Yeah. We have a few more moments, and so I want to review what we've gone over. So the conversation here today on our International Women in Business Mastermind is really all about how do you close out the end of the quarter strong, especially when it is also the end of the year. So right now we are about to enter into the fourth quarter of this year, which is also, of course, the end of the year and just before the beginning of our new year. So the closing of Q4 is always a little bit different. You've got 3 things sort of happening simultaneously, as well as all of the winter holidays that take place. So I think the importance of one of the many important things that you can take away from this conversation is that pre-plan. And if you are pre-planning every quarter, when you get to the fourth quarter, you're not overwhelmed. You have, try to put a really good system into place when you are looking at your quarterly activities. Do a regular time audit. Categorize the things that you're doing to make sure that you are doing them in the best possible way and that you should be doing these things. Review what you're doing in your business. Take a look at your client journeys. I love that you mentioned that. Reviewing your operations and your administration. I love that you mentioned that. One of the things that I do so readily with a lot of my clients is we review all their foundational documents. We read the business plan, we read the marketing plan, we redo the strategic growth plan, because it changes on a consistent basis. And when you are envisioning, like you said, what you want your future to look like, are you doing day-to-day activities that are going to produce that? I think that not only has Christelle, laid out this beautiful process for you to consider, it's something that we reiterate on a consistent basis as business professionals who are coaches, who work with people to help them grow their business in a strategic manner. For our audience here, Christelle, what would you say are some of, I know you've already given so many great tips and advice, but sort of in summary, in closing, how do you keep your clients encouraged to do these, to go through these processes and these steps when they're starting to get kind of itchy for the holiday or itchy for the new year? How do we remind them how important it is that we go through these processes on a consistent basis, not only as we're going into Q4, but for every quarter? One of my thoughts that comes to mind is we need to be, radically accountable to ourselves. And if you want to be in a professional industry, or if you want to have a growing business, what are you doing to make sure that that's happening? How do you keep your clients motivated and moving forward to do that?
Honestly, I think it all comes down to mindset, and accountability, is kind of part of that. But like I touched on earlier, handling this is, or going through this, it's a commitment. It's a commitment to yourself. It's a commitment to your business and your vision for it. And so that needs to be a huge reminder. But then each step should have some kind of mindset reminder as to why you're doing it, right? Each process in our business should have that. And like I mentioned, it's not, this is the investment when you do this. It's not just financial. People just think, oh, it's good, I have to pay so much money to get this done, whatever it may be. But no, it's an investment. It's a mental investment. It's emotional sometimes, because it does have to do with our future and how much revenue we want to make and how difficult is it. So it's an investment on a lot of different ways, and it doesn't necessarily need to take a toll. We just have to remember, come back to the mindset always as to why we're doing this. And sometimes we have to, the same process might not work for every client, right? With my NDs, I don't think like neurotypical, people. So I have had to structure things differently for myself. And so I understand that happens for my clients as well. Some people can just be like on something and just get it done. Other people need more hand holding. So me getting to know my client, their personality, and that's why I like doing systems based on, that's why I love my tech agnostic approach. I've always been that way, because I want to do things that are right for you and your business. We all have different personalities. We all have different lifestyles, learning styles, right? So I try to take that into consideration as to whether, if I see something becoming too stressful, then maybe we need to pause and kind of change the strategy a little bit for that specific client, because I don't want it to become a negative experience, right? It has to be something where that they actually see the outcome at the end. And so reminding them of that is important. So it all comes down to the mindset as where they are when they start, and then where they are as they go through it.
I always provide checklists to my clients, and the first like 3 to 4 items on that checklist are already checked off, so that it's just a great like sort of mind trick that says, look what you have already accomplished. Now let's keep this momentum going.
Yeah, that's great, actually.
Yeah. And to remember that if it's overwhelming or if it's stressful, then it's not the right fit for you. Let's take a look and let's kind of readjust, because the goal is to not overwhelm ourselves with the responsibility and the activity of what it is that we're doing. The goal is to really love what we're doing and to really enjoy it and to get really good at it, because this is what you've chosen to do. This is something that, for so many of us, it's like a calling that we've had to start these businesses and to create these businesses to help others. And once if it becomes overwhelming or too much, you're starting to no longer bring you that joy. That's a huge light that is coming on. That means that you need to recognize, to say, okay, let me take a step back and review what's going on here. Exactly. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, Christelle, for your time and all of your amazing insights. I always really enjoy our conversations. I love that you came on as one of my first guests as we are revamping the International Women in Business Mastermind conversations. This conversation will be added to our Empowerment Empire YouTube channel, where anyone can take a look at this video and all of the conversations that we've had over the course of the years with phenomenal women in business, talking about how they operate their business, how they function within their business, what they do for their clients, how they can help you personally. The goal of the IWB Mastermind is just to bring together women through conversation, through sharing of our insights, of our expertise, of our passions, and also so you can get to know us as people and understand why we do what we do, and how we could potentially help you as well to become better in your industry of focus. So I'm really looking forward to our future guests as well. So continue to take a look. The International Women in Business Mastermind is a monthly program. We stream live and online, and then all of our videos are shared across social media platforms, and then they land and live on our Empowerment Empire YouTube channel. So I'll be posting the links below here so that you can take a look at those additional videos, as well as how to get a hold of Christelle. So I will make sure to post her unique website so you can take a look at more of the work that she does. She's got some great downloadables from her website that you could just enter in your information and grab from her. She's very thorough, very complete. I always enjoy learning, listening, and interacting with Christelle. So I want to thank you again so very much for your time and for joining me this morning.
Thank you. I love this. I appreciate you having me on, and I'm honored to be your first guest now that you're
Absolutely.
revamping this. So looking forward to seeing the video, and I'll get you the link soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Awesome.
rest of your day. Christelle, we will see each other again soon, I'm sure.
All right. Bye-bye.